What's up, class? How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a good week. It's finally Friday, so that's pretty cool. So we're coming to that point where that quiz is coming up. I hope you guys are ready because I could use a little bit more studying beforehand. So anyways, Alex Rentz, good man, had a very strong in-long post in regards to what questions he wanted and where he touched on. This is one of the most practical approaches so far that I've seen to this, so kind of excited for this. So the first thing he asks us to do is to synthesize the information from the portion of the book regarding project total operating revenues, so like projecting for the VSU 2014-2015 school year. However, I do believe we're coming in 2015-2016, so it's a little outdated. No problem. Actually, his projected total was 101,681,000, and the actual total was, just for facts, the actual total was 103,108,000. So, based on his numbers and the numbers I came up with, going through and explaining as to why, because he asks us to think through this thought process of how we projected this total. So yes, there was an 18% increase from 09 to 10, and then 10% increase from 11 to 12, then 4% increase from 12 to 13, yada yada yada, then a 0.5% increase. So I'm coming in. We had 103 million this year, 103,108,000. So I'm projecting it to drop. I don't think there's going to be an increase. There's only a 0.5% increase this past year. And if there is an increase, it's going to be maybe a tenth of a percent. But realistically, with the facts, and where I'm getting this from is kind of more of a social budgeting. While, yes, the university has some positive gains, I will say that with over 30% of the, and this is a rough estimate, 30% of the administrative upper level staff being interim currently, most importantly with our president being interim, that we are going to take a hit this year. If we have an increase, it'd be very slight, and if not, it'd be staying equal. So with the numbers that we've had historically, it's gone down. It started off low, went up some more, and then it's taken a sharp downturn. So that's a really layman's term for whatever. But so 103 million was the fall of 2014. I'm going to go with roughly, 101 million, 101,268, conservatively. And I say this because we currently have the interim who is going to be looking to save and cut anywhere they can. So, it seems like not only based off that, one of the other things that are really important to think of is the sales and services of education departments. Historically, they have been going up. However, I think it's going to go down slightly this year, maybe by a couple $100,000, only because even with the projected going up, like it's been going consistently up and markedly so in this past year. Even with that being said, I think that we've hit a spot where it's kind of gonna have to cap out a little bit. Because we're running out of resources that we can allocate to these departments. And B, because we're also going to be having a lower influx of students from what I understand. And then further, we're going to take a bigger hit in auxiliary enterprises totals, and that's, we had a $12 million operating budget this year for Residence Life. However, I know we're projected to be low in enrollment again, more so than we were this past year, I believe. So we're looking at either going back down to 11,500,000 or 11,800,000, or we're looking at staying very, very similar to where we were this past year. That being said as well, we just hacked the bookstore who has been losing and hemorrhaging money everywhere and made it private. So we're going to be losing some revenue there. Um, and then further, I mean, parking and transportation, I mean, they just bankroll. So while it doesn't look like it on paper, it sure does for the students who are getting charged these exorbitant amount of money. And then, so also we got to consider the fact that some of our auxiliary services this past year were absorbed. So where I'm coming from on that is that's kind of where I'm coming from. So we're looking at maybe 101 million. I can't remember the exact number I said before. I'm going to just say 101 million even. Obviously, it's not going to be an even number. More realistically, it's going to be 101,265,38. And that's where I'm at with that. Again, this is because of the hits we're taking in, especially because of the social part, with a new president interim coming in to clearly cut and trim the hedges and stop our hemorrhaging money. I believe that is his only goal, and he could care less about anything else besides for fixing the gaping amount of money that we're losing. So, the second portion Alex spoke about was in regards to the Imagineering, and he asked that if we could identify one building facility that you would like to see constructed here at VSU, if resources were unlimited, so literally anything. It's going to be fun because I'm going to make the most ridiculous thing possible. But anyways, you want to Imagineer, provide the information that you would if you were completing the program statement, identify the new facility, what would go into this new facility, the number and types of people it will serve, and the administrative units it will be and its occupants. So, smart Alec version of me wants to say we build a what's really interesting that could really sell Valdosta. We should get an outdoor pool with a waterfall. That's what I think we should get. I'm not going to go into detail about it because obviously that's just silly. While this university I'm currently at has 3, and it would be kind of cool to see one at Valdosta, and it kind of fits with the atmosphere. It's not going to happen. But, however, I would like to see, since we do have a stronger medical department that's being cultivated right now, it'd be really interesting to see if we expand that into neuroscience and partner up with neuroscience to the psychology program. So, what I want to do is I want to build a building, not on main campus, near North Campus, and high-tech building, and I wanted to have all the modern technology of neuroscience as it's becoming very, very important in the field of both psychology and medical fields. So that would be really cool to see. And so I'm going to Imagineer it, and really, I guess its main purpose would be to combine the two together. We'd house medical field with part of medical field with the psychology department. It'll be open to the public, ideally, because unlimited resources. So why not use it and allow the public to come in and get tested, and also serve the veterans that are nearby that may have neurological damage, because that's something that definitely can happen since we're so close to military bases. So that's the kind of people we'll serve, and it'll have student affairs housed within them, but these student affairs will be different than most people we interact with. They'll be specifically tailored towards medical people who have worked in the medical field, or people who are really strong in student affairs and can help these students. And they'll have their own individual career services as well, because it's such a unique field. So that's kind of where I see it going. End result, multi-billion-dollar project. That's probably going to range about 10 million, maybe, or 10 billion, maybe more. And I know that sounds like a ridiculous number, but when you think about it, the building construction itself is probably going to be like $3 to $7 billion. Because the size of it, I'm thinking, take that entire parking lot, and for those of you who haven't been to Valdosta State's campus, I'm sorry, but if we were to take the entire Oak parking lot, tear it down, and build that building there, with no parking lot next to it. So now we need to open up parking lot. So maybe buy out that funeral, or the graveyard, which is crazy, but just kidding. The other side. So tear that old parking lot down, build that building, or half that parking lot anyways, because it's kind of massive. So that's like $3 to $5 billion, or $3 to $7 billion. And then, so for those of you who don't know much about neuroscience and what it does and what kind of tools you need, the machines can be really expensive themselves, ranging from $500,000 $100,000 to $1 million to $2.5 million a piece. So MRI machines, CMRI machines, etc., are all very important. It'd be a really high tech facility. Top of the line Wi-Fi, because Valdosta State really needs top of the line Wi-Fi somewhere in their campus. Further, the tools needed for diagnosing the patients they would have, because they'd be facilitating and serving the community nearby, would be expensive. So you'll need those kind of people, the personnel as well. And you'd also need a massive hiring. So they would need startup funds as well. So you need to budget those startup funds into the creation of your project. I mean, of course, this would be spread across a 5-year. Ideally, it would be cool to have it start to finish, to have this building done in a 3-year period. However, I don't want a rush building. If you've ever seen one of the residence halls on campus that was rushed, I'm not going to name it, you know it's not a good idea because they fall apart. So, end project, I would love to stay, and I have a $10 billion budget. I'd love to stay at like 7.5. I know I have unlimited resources, but I want to keep it kind of realistic. So on top of the building, we're going to put a helicopter pad and a in-ground pool with a waterfall, because that's realistic. I'm totally joking, but I mean, when you say unlimited resources, it kind of just go anywhere. Maybe I'd build an underground tunnel system that connects everything everywhere, because of the amazingly cold weather Georgia experiences. But those are what I've been asked to do. This is kind of what I've come up with. I like that it's been very practical. This was a very practical post. Lets me be a little bit creative and just speculate a little bit more. It doesn't really give me a chance to talk about much of the chapter, which is okay. I mean, this was a very interesting chapter, but this was just a more in-depth look at what we just covered last chapter. So I kind of already touched a little bit on that last chapter, just because I'm a little bit more familiar with it, which is kind of nice. I like how this book flows so far. It's kind of cool to see, like, okay, broad, narrow, and then over our macro picture. So, yeah, thank you, Alex. I know you're never going to see this, considering you've started your beautiful job at Ball State. So that is all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and if you're in law class with me, good luck. And I will see. It's getting closer. 3.5, 4 weeks until I'm back in Valdosta. Yeah. So, looking forward to seeing y'all. All right, guys. I'm out.